Hello. I hope you have enjoyed our visit with the church at Ephesus. I'm super pumped about studying each of these 7 churches because they have so much to teach us, and I'm glad you're along for the journey. As we close our visit with the church at Ephesus, there's a couple of things I wanted us to think about as a wrap-up to what we have learned about Ephesus. And the first is that we are told to love the Lord our God with all of our hearts. If you recall, God in what's called the Shema in Deuteronomy chapter 6 told Israel, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart." That was the first and greatest commandment. And that was repeated by Jesus. If you look in Mark chapter 12, the scribes and the Pharisees came to Jesus and they said, "Which commandment is the most important of all?" Jesus answered, "The most important is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength." So obviously this is an important commandment. In Matthew 24, Jesus said, "In the last days, the love of many will grow cold." And so that's what we've seen with the church at Ephesus. They have lost their first love. They've taken their eyes off of Jesus. They have lost that romantic honeymoon kind of love that they had at the first for Jesus. And I want us to take a minute and apply that to our lives, to my life in 2016 and to your life in 2016. What are some of the symptoms of losing your first love? I think that's important for us to think about. One of the commentators that I read said that some of the symptoms of losing your first love include a loss of distinctive, glowing joy of the Christian life. The Christian life just becomes humdrum. The word doesn't excite you. Worship is dull and mechanical. It's truly spiritual apathy. So that's one symptom of losing your first love. Another is the loss of ability to love other people. You remember in that same passage in Mark 12, Jesus said that the first and greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart. But then he said, the second is this in verse 31, "You shall love your neighbor as yourself." And so a symptom of losing your first love is the loss of ability to love others. You may have a critical spirit, you may complain, you may be very selective in your friendships, just an overall loss of the ability to love other people. And the third symptom that this commentator stated as a symptom of losing your first love is the loss of a healthy perspective on ourselves. And we see that so much in today's world. Everything becomes about me. It's all about me. That is not a healthy perspective in any way, shape, or form. We need to be God-focused first, others-focused second, and then think about ourselves. We need to put other people before ourselves. Jesus did this all the time, and he is our example for this. So those are some of the symptoms of losing your first love. When you lose your first love, what might result? What might be some of the things that can result? Well, spiritual apathy, we talked about that, a lack of care for others, a love for the world and the things of the world, a willingness to compromise with evil. Wow, just wow. Are we seeing that in today's world or what? A willingness to compromise with evil. Judgment, and eventually the death of the church. As we lose our first love, eventually death comes. Truly, this losing of first love is a spiritual cancer, and it's something we have to be so diligent about taking care of. So, in summary, there are 3 things I think we need to remember about the church at Ephesus. We need to remember to be vigilant about our first love, to love others, to love God, and then to love ourselves. Three things we need to do. First, we need to fix our eyes on Jesus Christ. We're told in Hebrews 12:1 and 2 to fix your eyes on Jesus. So that's the first thing we need to do to maintain our spiritual first love. The second thing we need to do, we find in Romans 12:1 and 2. Offer your bodies as living sacrifices. Just offer to God your very self and say, I'm yours. Use me however you would like. And thirdly, we need to set our mind on the things of Christ, not the things of this world, but the things of Christ. And so as we're thinking and wrapping up about the church at Ephesus, I hope that you have had time to do a little bit of self-examination and see if you have lost your first love. Because truly, this is where a downhill slide away from Christ, away from God begins, by losing our first love. And I don't know about you, but I want to maintain the spiritual fervor of that first love for Jesus. Thank you for being with me, and I'll see you back next week when we will visit with the church at Smyrna. Goodbye.